begins, sizing up Murphy, drives, floats, hangs, and scores on the turnaround. J-Dub way behind the three-point line and hits way behind the three-point line. Got blocked. What a rejection by Holmgren. Standing tall like a wall.
This is Dark. You're listening to the Uncontested.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Uncontested Sunday Show. I'm your host for tonight, Justin, joined by almost a full squad, soon to hopefully be a full squad. Got all the fellas here tonight. We're psyched to bring another podcast your way following a really fun game against the Denver Nuggets. We're going to talk about that. We're going to break down the rematch tomorrow, along with a couple other big games coming on the way, like a road trip to Boston. But before we dive into that, let me introduce some fellas. We have our guy, JD Silva.
Fellas.
We have a Mr. Jacob Niffen.
What's up?
And we have Taylor.
Looking forward to breaking down the Josh Allen extension and DK Metcalf trades. Busy afternoon, guys.
Unbelievable.
Busy afternoon.
Cut his mic. Before we dive in, we will not be talking about whatever he just talked about. Before we dive in, I want to let you know that we are proudly part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and brought to you by Prairie Artisan Ales. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating if you feel so inclined. We'd greatly appreciate it. And follow us wherever you get your socials. I promise we'll make it worth your while. And if you don't already, join the Patreon. As always, the Degenerates were having a blast enjoying this win over the Denver Nuggets today, and you too can be having a blast for just a couple bucks a month.
Hey, speaking of, I don't think we ever made a decision, but is the next Patreon watch party coming up?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do it. I think we've made the decision.
We'll make it live.
We'll do it
live here on the podcast.
Next Patreon live watch party. The Thunder play at Detroit on Saturday. And we're going to go live in the Discord, chatting along for that one. Should be fun. The Pistons are really fun. Going to be a good game. So make sure you join the Patreon so you can be a part of that.
I wonder if the Pistons are going to be hated like the Thunder after their fun over 2 years over.
That's how it works, Taylor. They love you on the come up and they hate you when you're on top.
Yes.
Fellas, I can't feel my fingers.
Get that checked out.
That seems like an issue.
I just want it to be known that the three phrases just uttered by Justin are come up, I'm on top, and I can't feel my fingers. So
I don't think those are related.
that's how this game made me feel too.
So I checked the fridge when I was like shifting into pod mode. It's like Seinfeld shifting into soup mode. And I realized I was out of Prairie beer. And I have not been up to Oklahoma recently to get some more. And so there's a grocery store by my house that sometimes has some. They usually only have like singles. So I drove over there, bought the last 2 singles of our old friend Buzzer Beater.
Yes, let's go.
Delightful. However, warm. Sitting on the shelf warm. So I had T-minus 10 minutes from when I got home to when this podcast was going to start to get this beer cold.
Right in the freezer.
So, no, Taylor. Because of fluid dynamics, I put this bad boy in a bowl full of ice and water with a ton of salt. And I just started stirring.
Like homemade ice cream.
It's exactly like homemade ice cream. You got to stir that beer. I was using my fingers to flip it around in the can to get it cold for literally 10 minutes straight. Until Silva sent the link to join the stream, and then I grabbed it, and I'm happy to report, ice cold.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting.
Delightful.
I thought you were going to say kind of lukewarm.
No, fabulous. Worth every second.
Kind of reminds me, I think that's kind of how it works have you guys ever been like in a wine section and they have wine coolers
the little
right
instant chillers. That's exactly what it is.
Interesting. Okay,
Except that's a machine, and I used my hand.
Wow. Duncan Tess is Smoot's favorite thermodynamic podcast that occasionally talks Thunder basketball.
Sean is here suggesting that I put ice in my beer, I think, and I would just like to say, Sean, that's a war crime.
That is a war crime.
It's not a thing I'm going to do.
I don't know. That sour Gatorade beer, I think you could pull it off.
That's fair. It does taste like blue Gatorade.
All I know is we just found out that his name is Justin the Science Guy.
Dude, Bill Nye went so hard. He had no reason
I
to go
still
that
remember
hard.
that song.
I showed my kids a Bill Nye video.
Guy.
Bill.
Do you think maybe I should have watched more Bill? Maybe I wouldn't have electrocuted myself last weekend with my razor had I done so. I did get a new one, by the way.
Oh,
There
good.
you go.
That's good.
It will not come into contact with water.
Let's say it's a waterproof.
Nope. Same one.
All right. Well, now that we have cold beers and we've not electrocuted ourselves, should we talk about this Nuggets game?
Let's talk about that.
Because, wow, what a game. What a game the Thunder played this afternoon, early afternoon. We had a nooner on ABC. The Thunder versus the Nuggets, SGA versus the Joker, a battle of MVP favorites, a battle of the top 2 seeds in the West. And I got to say, I think it delivered. Front to back, this game was fantastic. And right on cue, because he just joined the stream, Nick Crane, you get to take us away first. What's our first takeaway from Thunder Nuggets?
Man, Jaylen Williams rose to the occasion in a big way in a game that I think we'd be having some criticisms right now if he hadn't. And I'm glad he did. I think it's a good teaser for the playoffs, and the Thunder will need more of that if they're going to have success in the postseason.
J-Dub today, 26 points in 38 minutes off 7 of 14 shooting, 2 of 4 from behind the arc, 10 of 11 from the free throw line.
Career
9
high.
rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block, a plus 17. Yes, career high in free throws for J-Dub.
The block was emphatic. Incredible block. But like Nick said, like he rose to the occasion. Maybe a bit of a slow first half for Dub scoring, but I thought everything else he did wonderfully. I really like the defensive matchups for Dub in a Denver series or in a Denver game. We'll see if it becomes a series later on in the playoffs. And I don't know. Dub at one point in this game, there was just a switch that got flipped on where he just said, you know what? I'm stepping on the gas and there's really not much you can do about it. I'm just going to drive to the basket as hard as I can. I like the physicality he's learning to play with inside for sure. And once he starts to get that going, he got the free throws. And then his 2 3-point makes came down the stretch in the fourth.
He was awesome in the fourth.
Once he got more comfortable and once he got to the line and got to see the ball go through the hoop a few times on the jumper, the free throw, it's like he found the stroke. And it was, if Shai wasn't the MVP, like, and still even with Shai, Dub might be the player of the game tonight.
Yeah, I think that the thing with Dub that maybe people don't talk about enough. There has been games in the past, playoff games, regular season games, where maybe he's not the number 2 that people think he can and should be. Generally, it's not because he's missing shots. Like almost never is it because he's missing shots. It's the volume of shots he's taking. Like when you're the number 2 guy and you lose a close game, you look at the box score and you took 9 shots. That's a problem. I think it's more a volume thing and an aggression thing. And second half, like to get to the free throw line, you have to be aggressive. And yes, a lot of his points came from the line, but to do so, you have to shoot the ball and look for your shot. And that's what I think changed things for Dub in the second half. It's never a problem of making shots. It's like taking the shots. And he was willing and able to today.
He mentioned something post-game that's something similar to what we've talked about with Shai over the past couple of seasons as he's grown and developed into the player he is, where he analyzes the game early, see what the defense is giving him and his teammates, and then attacks the game through the rest of the game accordingly. And Dub mentioned doing that earlier on in tonight's game. I think that this afternoon's game. And I think that showed, right? We saw him, like Jacob said, creating and playmaking for teammates. And I think he had like 4 assists in the first half, plus like 4 or 5 rebounds, but he wasn't scoring. He wasn't being nearly as aggressive. And he got to halftime. I think it was Stephen A. of all people calling him out, saying that the Thunder were going to win this game. Like Shai needs another, a scorer alongside him. It needs to be Dub. That's exactly what he did. But in the past this season, not really over this recent stretch where he's been really aggressive, but through the first part of the season, it was more so like, okay, Dub's back up to 25 points, but he's like 4 of 6 from 3 in the second half or whatever it is. And tonight, I keep saying that, I don't have it. This
Today,
afternoon, it was a lot more driving and just more aggression, which I really love. But the other thing about J-Dub in his performance, especially in the second half, is the Thunder won the non-Shai minutes, especially there in the fourth quarter. I think to start the fourth, without Shai, the Thunder went on a 17-8 run before the Nuggets eventually scored, and that's significant. There's a lot of factors to go into that, but J-Dub's obviously the main reason for it.
Yeah, it was really nice to see. This is the type of game you want to see him step up in, and it was very reassuring to me to see him kind of discover himself throughout this game as it went on. Obviously, he had I think he had 6 at halftime, and then I'm sure he talked to Mark. I'm sure Mark talked to him during the halftime, be like, here are ways you can attack. Here's how you can adapt to this game, and he did that tenfold. Like, he was really, really good. I think he kind of realized that Denver doesn't really have rim protection. Like, Aaron Gordon was out, and that means they especially didn't have rim protection. And yeah, he just kept driving. And Jacob, did you say this was his career high in free throws?
Free throw attempts, yeah.
Free throw attempts with 11, which was awesome. Like, that's what's been missing from J-Dub's game all season. And it kind of feels like this game is the blueprint of how he can be like the second scorer in this game, like getting to the line, getting those foul calls that he has deserved all along, but he's figuring out how to kind of toe the line between getting the call and not, and being too timid, and because he doesn't think he's going to get the call. So it was very reassuring from J-Dub.
Yep.
And then doing that while Shai is sitting, I think is significant.
That was big. Silva, you mentioned something that was going to be my big takeaway from the game, which was the aggression to attack the rim for Oklahoma City, taking advantage of the fact that Denver doesn't have a rim protector. And it felt like they came out with an agenda to do that and just kept going back to the well until Denver stopped them. Jokic got a couple blocks early, to his credit. I think Aaron Gordon might have had a big one too early, but then that was kind of it. And it felt like the Thunder were, I mean, not surprising because they do this against most teams, but really taking advantage of the lack of inside presence to deter them from just going at the rim and either getting the foul call and getting to the line or going to get an easy basket or even using that as a drive and kick opportunity. It just felt like if we were to evaluate this on if this were a playoff series, you would expect Denver to counter back somehow. They can't magically invent a rim protector, but that would be something that Denver's probably going to look at. Maybe you see some of it tomorrow, maybe not. But that feels like a place where they would have to figure out a solution to slow Oklahoma City down from getting to the paint, or else there's nothing they could do in a playoff series against this team.
Play DeAndre Jordan.
That's certainly a strategy.
Thank you for laughing, Nick.
Jacob, why don't you give us another takeaway from this one?
The double big lineup works.
That was good.
Situationally. We found a situation where it does work.
Yep. That's a good point. Elaborate, please.
Devil's advocate. Yes, it is a situation where it worked. Maybe a lot of situations it'll work, and it just needs more time.
Oh, for sure. But with the sample size we have to present, it's the first time that you think that strategy might be something you do again against that team.
And you know what's interesting is it worked the best when Denver played small and Chet was guarding Christian Brown, who, two things about Christian Brown real quick. One, incredible jawline.
I wasn't
thought
expecting
one was
that.
going to be.
Two, if you took a black and white photo of him, looks straight out of the Nazi youth.
Oh my gosh. Also, that's not what I thought number 2 was going to be.
Nope. Thought you were going to say like he had a really good first half.
He was good.
Number 3, if you gave me 10 tries to spell his last name without knowing it, I'd get it wrong all 10 times.
Yeah, for sure. Double big lineup cooked. Even with Chet in foul trouble, they ended. Chet was 6 of 10. Hartenstein was 5 of 6. Some quick math, that's 11 of 16 from the field. They combined for 19 rebounds, only 2 assists, and 24 points. Chet was just cooking at certain points in this game. He hit a 3. The Alex Caruso behind the back drop off pass to the Chet spin dunk.
My God,
that's a highlight of the season.
Filthy.
right? That goes on the season highlight reel. But that, I don't know, Chet, the spin move by Chet was really going today. He had the beautiful pass in the fourth quarter from the top of the key to the cutting Isaiah Hartenstein. And I believe coming out of halftime, the Thunder were up 1. And when one of the two bigs went to the bench, the Thunder were up like 13. So in like 7 minutes, that lineup was a plus 12. And they're figuring out how to make the two bigs work. Like the two bigs are figuring it out.
Yeah.
And I thought especially in the first quarter, even though the Thunder got in a hole early, I thought Hartenstein guarding Jokic. Jokic likes to back down and then spin, and the rotations by Chet to protect the rim down there with Hartenstein, they deterred a lot of shots in the paint between the two of them, which was really awesome.
So I think it goes without saying, and Curtis and a couple others in the chat are bringing it up. So Silva, I want to pass this to you.
Christian Brown's mom.
Will.
Sorry, I was busy Googling Christian Brown's mom.
The chat is out of pocket.
It is out of pocket. Here. But we talk about the double bigs playing phenomenal. Like, not that they played a triple big lineup, but like you could point directly to the center rotation. The 3 centers on this team were significant in this win.
Yeah, it's making me have to like backpedal a bunch on all the J Will like side slander I've given all year. Dude's been awesome. If he just shoots like 90% from 3, he'll be in this league for a long time. But no, the 3 bigs were excellent. Chet just makes me levitate when I watch the guy play basketball. The season's just been a lot more fun since he came back. Was somehow, I don't think we said this, a plus 32 in the game.
Plus 32 in a game he only played 26
I was
minutes
going to say,
due to
if
foul
he's
trouble.
foul trouble.
Yeah.
Silva turned into Brooklyn Bridge Kyrie.
Oh, dude. Yes. That's what happens when I watch. Yeah, this feels like the possibilities are endless with the guy, and he was excellent. I kind of thought,
awesome.
Coming out of halftime, I thought he was going to end up carrying the scoring load because he had a pretty nice game offensively too, but just 6 of 10, lower volume than J-Dub, but he's awesome, and you can tell he's getting more in shape every week that goes.
That dribble drive to the basket he had was excellent. Like the way he gathered and got low to the ground and went to the basket, like you just don't see guys his size do that. I don't know what tomorrow brings. We'll talk about tomorrow later, but the fact that he did what he did in 26 minutes makes me really excited to see what he could do in 31, 32 plus minutes.
And note that the important thing about that, the playoffs last year, this is not how this works, but stick with me. If Chet was able to play 48 minutes a game, they blow the Mavericks out of the water. Like the minutes he played against Dallas, the Thunder won by so much, it's unbelievable. It was the minutes he didn't play where they got cooked. And I think that's where Isaiah Hartenstein is so big. Well, like not even like the double big lineup where we started this conversation, but being able to have another guy out there that can be impactful. That's the scary part. If I'm like an opposing team looking at the Thunder and how you beat them in the playoffs, that's a huge hole that was filled in a big way by Hartenstein.
Yeah. I will just add this, just to add a context to what you all discussed, just to put it, put some stats to it.
Hey,
Usual. I've seen this tweet out from like 1 million people, so it's not even worth crediting anybody, as Twitter typically is these days. But the double big
aggregator
had 141.7 offensive rating, which is stupid, and an 83.8 defensive rating in 18 minutes. 57.9 net rating. Quick math. That's pretty good.
Quick math.
Pretty good.
That'll do, Pig. Taylor, why don't you give us another takeaway?
I'll stick with the theme of lineups, and I will discuss the second unit without Shai. And I mentioned this here about a week ago when we saw it, or maybe it was longer than that, but it was after the All-Star break when Mark started to experiment with Chet in the second lineup with Dub instead of iHeart. And both lineups have been good, with iHeart being or better, with iHeart being the big alongside Dub when Shai sits to start the second and fourth quarters. But it seems like, especially offensively, and even for Dub, it just frees a lot more up when Chet is the big in that second unit lineup. And I had some people ask me, like, why is that? I think we actually had that question in our Discord, and I can throw that to you guys. As my dog is going crazy.
I was restraining myself from saying, what the dog
A
doing?
little distracting. But for me, I think it's his ability, Chet's ability to be able to take off some primary ball handling duties from Dub and to be able to create alongside of just him being able to space the floor. I think that opens up so much more in that second unit for Dub.
I agree with you that Chet is a reliever for Dub. And talking about Dub, the second or the fourth quarter, since Taylor's given stats, Holmes, Oklahoma City in the fourth quarter, trivia, what was their offensive rating?
A million.
130.
195.2. What was their defensive rating?
86.
62.
Oh wow, Justin, you're a little low. 90.9, which is very good. But that's an 105 net rating, which is nuts. I do think Taylor's onto something with Chet freeing some stuff up for Dub. I also think Dub, frankly, just turned a corner since the All-Star break. I think he's playing with confidence. I think the All-Star break was big for him. I think it was a good break for him. He's making shots that he made his first 2 years that he wasn't making to start this year. Chet helps, of course, but I think even if Chet was still hurt, like Dub's turned a corner in a real way.
Feels that way. When you start to think about Chet finding his sea legs, Dub turning a corner, Aaron Wiggins doing what Aaron Wiggins has been doing the past 6 weeks, J Will doing what J Will's been doing recently, Alex Caruso adding things offensively that he's been doing recently. Like, it starts to feel inevitable, and it's really hard to go there. But if this team is clicking, which it very much feels like they're clicking, it's hard to imagine a scenario in which when they're clicking, they get beat. And that's the hard part about the playoffs, right? Is like to click all through the playoffs like that and fire on all cylinders. Like, that just doesn't happen. And so it probably won't happen for the Thunder. Like, the odds are against you. But this team's ceiling, I think is what I'm getting at, is just so high. I'm not sure there's another team in the NBA whose ceiling is where the Thunder's is.
I was talking with a buddy post game today that the Thunder they have a different gear they can get the car into that no other team in the league, I don't think, can get there on both ends of the floor. Yeah, 8th gear, 10th gear, I don't know. But they have a level, and you just know when they've revved the car up and put it in that gear. There's other teams that can like go on a heater offensively or lock in defensively, but on both sides of the ball, there is just a level the Thunder can get to. And it's not like you can play at that level 24/7. That's impossible.
Yep.
But you saw it in the fourth quarter, that Knicks game at home. You saw it in that Celtics game at home. You saw it tonight in the fourth quarter. You saw it in the first half of the home game against Cleveland. Like, when they can get to that level, if they can stay there for 5 minutes, the game is done. Like, you are just that fourth quarter.
That's what they did tonight.
41 to
right?
20. 41 to 20 in the fourth.
It happened so fast.
Yeah. It's just that it reminds me of the pre-KD Warriors, but it's like both ends of the floor.
Right. I keep thinking and comparing it to that as well. I know we've talked about it earlier in the season. We started to see the Thunder be able to, again, Mark hates the term, but it's so spot on, flipping the switch. But that kind of leads me to one other thing that I think ties into this so well, what you just mentioned, Jacob, and that's that the Thunder do continue to struggle with zone and half-court offense, especially when they're being defended in zone. And one thing I tweeted there when the Nuggets came back at the end of the third, heading into the fourth quarter, especially when we were about to get minutes without Shai, is that the Thunder are going to have to get out in transition, focus defensively, leading to transition opportunities so that way that zone defense can't get set. And I said, because that's going to result in some of these threes starting to fall after they do so. That's exactly what we saw. The three started to fall because they're getting out in transition and spraying out to open shooters, as Mark likes to call it. And it's just an accumulative effect, I think, when they're playing that way. And so hopefully we see more of that, especially in the playoffs.
I'm proud of you for nailing that.
I was just thinking the same thing. Well done.
Knocked it out of the park.
Nailed it.
I was also biting my tongue because I just noticed all Nick's clothes are upside down.
I missed the hoodie.
Nick is wearing the, I'm sure everybody's seen him, the upside down No Rivals Dallas hat, but he's also wearing a Nike Air sweatshirt with the Nike Air logo upside down. Don't take this the wrong way, but I'd like to see your pants.
I was about to say, I'd like to see the pants.
And I'm in a virtual Sims reality house.
Well, I just thought you were in the Sims house and you had the upside down clothes option turned on.
Ah, yes.
Oh,
Classic.
I
Silva,
wish.
do you have a big takeaway for us? I think you're the only one I haven't asked yet.
Yeah, and my big takeaway is that the depth of OKC, I think, is what separates them from everyone else. And it's kind of what allows for these runs to happen late in games because the Thunder's best players don't have to play as many minutes as the rest of the guys. And, SGA can just sit until 7 minutes left in the fourth and it's fine. And then he can come out and just dominate the game completely. And there's really just never any escape from the Thunder's depth throughout the entire game. And in fact, sometimes they get better, like love Lou Dort, but I think some nights when he sits, a better player comes in and plays for him.
agreed.
It's
Especially recently.
It's absurd. It is absurd. And I think that's whenever I have doubts about the Thunder, about like what's going to happen, who's going to be the second leading scorer in the playoffs. It's like there are like 10 really good players on this team, and I think we'll figure it out.
Well, that's what's crazy is the Thunder went 10 deep tonight.
Yeah.
The Nuggets, even with Aaron Gordon only playing 7 minutes, I mean, you could 8 deep, maybe 8.5 deep if you want to count
Jokic
Watson's
played
6
41 minutes, Justin, and Murray played 42.
42.
That's to Shai and Dubs, 38 for Dub and 35 for Shai.
It's wild. The depth and like, I mean, you all, we've talked about it so many times, but Mark is not afraid to go 10 deep whenever against anyone. Nick, don't make that face.
I missed
Lord
that.
have mercy, I'm about to bust.
Anyway.
A big hole, they build it. We're on a roll tonight.
Nuggets played essentially 8 guys. Peyton Watson got 6 minutes in the first half. Never saw him again. And let me preface this. There will be a banner and maybe a statue at some point for Russell Westbrook. Okay. Love the dude. He can play 48 minutes a night against Oklahoma City. I'd be okay with that.
Yep.
Let him.
Agreed.
Brother tonight was 4 points on 1 of 9. He did have 11 rebounds. He was getting a little reckless.
He was. Felt like he was trying to draw contact, especially on Chet when Chet came in with 5 fouls. And that's like vintage Russ, right? Like 100%. He goes on these little side quests in the middle of the game.
We all knew what was going to happen. If these teams play in the playoffs, he and Lou Dort, one of them is going to kill the other one.
Yeah, if we thought the Lou Dort drama with the Mavs was bad, Lou Dort drama with Russell Westbrook is going to be otherworldly.
Dude, like, whenever Homer chokes Bart, it's going to be like that, but they're both doing it to each other at the same time. Like, it's going to be gnarly. But, I mean, I thought the Thunder played Russ the exact way you're supposed to play Russ, which when he's isolated outside, give him 7 feet of space.
Wide open threes.
Ask him to please shoot the basketball.
To be fair, they tried that strategy and they lost because of it early in the year.
Yep.
True.
Yeah. And that's what.
But he's not doing that in a 7-game series.
In a 7-game series, Russ, please shoot the basketball.
But we've talked about that before, right? Like, it is a strategy and it can bite you in small sample sizes, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was a bad strategy. And I think that's the hard part to remember in a vacuum or in a single game scenario is like, yeah, you might drop one if Russ goes hot, but how confident do you feel that Russ can get hot and win you a playoff series? I think you gamble on that a lot more than you gamble on letting Jokic be the one to get hot.
Justin, that makes me think of the double big lineup, right?
Mhm.
Like we've talked so much about when Chet comes back and he's healthy, he's going to be able to row and be this free safety shot blocker. But what we saw early with that lineup, some of the issues is you're leaving open shooters, especially in the corner, because you want Chet roaming around the rim. Or if you don't, and he's covering those shooters, then you don't have a shot blocker down low. It's just iHeart. And we saw that obviously the more and more minutes you get, the better it's already looking. But that just kind of reminded me of the double big lineup in comparison to what you were talking about. Like, what do you live with? Do you live with Christian Brown knocking down shots for an entire game? Exactly.
Yep. All right, we have unpacked this game three ways from Sunday.
Have we?
Oh,
that's the
apparently
thing.
Not.
We never talked about the MVP race and the guy going for 40.
Okay, well, I was going to say we need to give out our King of the Prairie, and it feels like there's a guy that we have not mentioned yet that is probably the right candidate for this award.
We should have like some theme music for King of the Prairie.
Oh, I like that idea. You should sing some.
Silva, will you sing us something right now?
No, I won't.
It should be like a knockoff dubstep version of the Game of Thrones intro.
Oh, for King of the Prairie.
I would try to beatbox that, but it would go very poorly.
Dun, 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 dun. Anyway,
right.
King of the
We're so
Prairie.
close to getting our YouTube monetization back, and Justin just got us back on the blacklist.
I think humming is okay. Anyway, the King of the Prairie today, I think, has to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 40 points off 15 of 32 shooting, 2 of 11 from behind the arc, 8 of 8 from the free throw line, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 blocks.
What a disgrace to the league, Justin. What you just
Foul
read off.
merchant,
I can't believe it.
Unbelievable, just flopping left
Just
and
a
right.
joke.
No, Shai was unbelievable. Not the most efficient start to the game, but the way he finished and what he did when he checked back in the fourth, like that's what cracked the floodgates open and won this game for the Thunder. An incredible performance from Shai. Anytime you drop 40 is incredible. It's easy to take it for granted with Shai because he makes it look so easy, and I think today was no exception.
I said in our group chat, incredible game from SGA, and had he not only made, what did he make, 2 threes, 2 of 11 from 3, it would have been a truly sensational game because beside the threes, he was automatic, especially late in the game, which, like we said a minute ago, he was well rested. He can come in and do that against guys that are more tired than him. It's a huge benefit.
They have nobody who can guard him.
No one.
No,
Christian Brown was food.
Yeah.
And not many people do, to be fair, but
Yeah.
the Nuggets especially don't.
They were blitzing him and then shading with a third off the pick and roll, like almost every time.
That guy would have been like KCP or something, but even then, like that's not a good option. There's not a good option.
Do you remember when KCP used to have an ankle monitor?
Hell
Yeah, with the Lakers. That was fun.
Incredible.
So tonight, or I keep saying tonight, I'll have it. Today's game was Shai's 3rd straight game with 40 plus points. Per the Thunder, he also became the 2nd player in Thunder history to record 40 plus points in 3 consecutive games. Russell Westbrook had 4, and he's currently in first place. If Shai's able to do it again tomorrow, he would tie Russ for first.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, that'd be wild. And then another stat that stood out, NBA tweeted this out. Only 2 players in the last 40 years have recorded 30 plus points in 40 plus games over 3 consecutive seasons. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and some guy named Michael Jordan.
Seems good.
That.
So with that performance, with the undertones of the MVP race coming into this one, Jokic today, 24 points off 10 of 23 shooting, 2 of 10 from behind the arc, 2 of 6 from the stripe, 13 boards and 9 assists.
Read the plus minus.
Nikola Jokic minus 13, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander plus 11.
Now talk about his shoulder.
It's the elbow.
His
Nick.
elbow.
Oh, elbow. Yes, that's right. That's right.
Imagine you 1 assist shy of a triple double with 1 hand.
ESPN wanted it so bad.
Dave Pash wanted it so bad.
It was
Somebody
gross.
should make the like a picture of Jokic, but then which elbow was it? Was it his left or his right? Do you guys know?
Don't matter. Thunder and
It was
4.
it was his shooting elbow, Jacob. That's why
Left
he
elbow,
couldn't
right
make a free
elbow.
throw, right?
So somebody should
Elbow
find
pasta.
Somebody should find a picture of Jokic and like do a horrible Photoshop where you just like erase the right arm and say like Jokic for Monday night's game.
Oh
Like,
my
remember when,
god!
you remember when someone took that picture of that African guy on crutches missing a leg, and it was like Serge Ibaka after the Lakers series or whatever?
Oh
It's
my
like
god.
one of
I
my
love when
favorites.
Jacob pulls out like
I
deep
know.
cut Thunder
Deep
1.0
references.
memes.
I know.
Yes.
It's
I'll find
so
it. Hold on.
with
Denver, the DNVR account tweeted out like these pictures of Jokic, all like his arms all
Cut
scratched
up
up,
and yeah.
from like weeks ago.
yeah, one of the pictures
What
they
are we
tweeted out
doing?
was from pregame. He's wearing a white T-shirt before the game. Like you're gonna say that's
Dude.
yeah. So do I think that Jokic's elbow hurt and maybe impacted his ability to shoot the ball? Certainly.
Sure.
The dude also played 40 plus minutes and didn't play bothered. Like
No.
it's one thing when a guy like can't get to a spot because he's hurt or like doesn't take a shot. The dude was still taking the shots. So like let's
And said post game he was all right.
yeah.
Right.
It was one of those perfect storms where if he plays bad, there's an excuse. If he plays
Yeah.
well, it's like wow, he did that through the elbow. It was like it's a
champion.
win-win for the
Because
Nuggets.
ESPN can't afford for an MVP narrative to be gone. What else?
It's like
do they have to
Paul
talk
Pierce
about for us?
pooping his pants.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
That's
just
The
Founder.
PvP, if you will.
J-Dub has a strained wrist, and he put up 26 points on 7 of 14 from the floor.
Did you say he's got a strained wrist or a strange wrist?
Strained.
I heard strange.
I said
what would
strained.
constitute a strange wrist?
This picture comes from the Denver Post via February 16th.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
his arms have been like that. It just
Maybe
not.
he
it
has
doesn't-
a cat. Who's to say?
It doesn't come from this game. Like the
He has
tweet was like,
Yeah.
like trying to say that he wasn't getting foul calls, and this was it's like what?
Yeah.
When did NBA discourse become this bad? When I put this in the
Toxic.
group chat earlier. People talk like opposing fan bases talk about SGA like he's Nancy Pelosi.
Dude, my favorite
Oh,
thing, Nick sent this screenshot, I think. Some dude on Twitter was like, that's why they call him Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And Nick searched for Griftius because like that's a really weird thing to say.
There were
And,
only
like, the-
3 other tweets.
It was like 3
What's
tweets
this?
in the history of Al Gore's internet.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Like that's just not a thing. Let's not pretend that's a thing.
Al Gore's internet. That was
It's
pretty
horrible.
good.
Dude. I don't
It's
get it.
horrible.
I don't get it. It
But
is
you know
so
what?
bad.
If the Nuggets beat the Thunder, or tomorrow night when they are on a national TV game, and maybe we're sitting some people, maybe they're sitting some people, it's going to be Nuggets fans Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing: is today's game was the only game on at noon, ABC.
Yep.
Like I think, kind of regardless of what stats look like tomorrow.
Yep.
This was the impact game. for
This
the
was
NBA
it.
race.
Yep.
This felt
Absolutely.
playoff like where you get on
It
Twitter
did.
and every person on your timeline is talking about this game. It just elevates it. Well, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about tomorrow's game. We'll be right back. And we're back. We get to do it all again in less than 24 hours. Approximately 24 hours from now, we'll be sitting here probably about to post game this bad boy. The Thunder and the Nuggets are going to run it back. We've talked about a handful of things that I think are going to impact tomorrow's game on such a short turnaround. There's plenty that we could dive into, but I feel like a good place to start is just looking at the minutes distribution that the Nuggets went with today. 42 minutes for Murray, 41 minutes for Jokic, 38 minutes for Michael Porter Jr. That's a lot of minutes on game one of a back-to-back. Do we think that plays a factor tomorrow night in Oklahoma City?
I don't think Aaron Gordon plays tomorrow. So yes.
He was not one of the names I just mentioned.
Well, I know, but I'm saying I think those numbers
But
will be
still
high
relevant.
again because Gordon will be out.
Good point. Okay, I'm tracking.
I wouldn't be shocked if some of those guys didn't play either. Like, would you be shocked if you saw a Jokic out for rest or out for
Elbow.
elbow contusion? or
I was
ball
wondering that
contusion?
too. and I
Dislocated
wondered-
elbow.
Well, remember Jokic also
JMP, funny bone.
he had a designation for injury on this left ankle inflammation too. So like Jokic has a
Yep.
couple reasons.
He's
not to
banged
play.
up. He's had his
And-
30-20-20 game and the MVP narrative. I could see them just not wanting to get back into that
with
again tomorrow either.
with LeBron being out for a bit. I think they probably feel a little bit less stressed to try to win this type of game, especially when like it's one thing if you're playing a team like the Kings, where like if you play your guys, you're probably going to win. It'd be different if it was like the Jazz, where it's like you can sit them and win. But the Thunder, like I think the Nuggets probably realize they're going to need a great game to get a victory. It's probably better to rest a guy or two.
On a Sega Baba, question for you guys: does Chet play his first Sega Baba since returning from injury?
That was going to be my next question.
Sorry,
I vote yes. Nick,
why?
No.
Okay.
Is that a you hope or you think because
Your head
of
or your
a
heart
reason?
answering that question?
It's my head and my heart.
What so if you're Mark, not that Mark makes the final decision, it's a lot of times medical staff. Like what's the value prop in this being his first one?
It's got to happen at some point.
Does it?
I mean, I think you want to get as much data as you can, and you're running out of games.
Yeah. I don't know.
I kind of don't think he plays.
I would not play him if it was my call.
that's what I
But
feel. You already have.
Can you justify it
Certainly.
by
100%.
Well, what I was going to say is, can you justify it because he only played 26 minutes tonight?
You can
That's just
justify it
like
for
a
lot
half
of
game.
reasons.
It's a good point.
Yep.
I think it's also like you may face the Nuggets in the playoffs, and even if Jokic doesn't play, like there's still data points you can gather.
Mm-hmm.
Like if there's going to be a game that you want to gather data points, it's this game. It's not like the Blazers where they sat everybody.
Or
'cause you're not
Detroit
gonna see that
next
team,
week.
or the Detroit.
Yeah.
Like you're if you see them in the finals, you're probably thanking all the gods that have ever existed that you're playing them, and you're okay not getting those data points. But
Detroit?
yeah.
No, that'd be dope.
Right. You're not playing Detroit in the finals thinking
Mark it down
"Damn,
now. March
what if-
9th. Detroit Pistons
what
to the
if
finals.
they had played their guys and got those data points? What if? I think you're going to win that series regardless. It is a game where there is value in data points. You could win that game, you could lose that game. Doesn't matter at all whatsoever.
I would like to see it. Damn it. That's all.
Someone in the chat
Silva's
here
heart.
said I maybe lost it.
Am I wearing a Snuggie? No, this is just a T-shirt. It'd be dope if I was wearing a Snuggie, though.
We should get uncontested snuggies.
Is this the first back-to-back that is at home for Chet? Home. There's no travel in between.
True.
Maybe that plays
It's
a
a
role.
good question.
It would just signal to me like a line of progress in his recovery, that if he can play back-to-backs.
Agreed.
True.
And
I
maybe
just
that's
don't
not
know
even
if we're
the
there
big
yet. Or
Maybe
to
He
Nick's
can play
point,
back to backs. There's no question. It's like, do you
or
want
to
him
Nick's point, yeah, do you have to at all? Because you're not going to have any in the playoffs.
True.
So you might not need that milestone. As much as it would feel like a milestone to fans, maybe you don't need that milestone ever.
Again, flip side though, I think he's played 19 games this season. Like,
Yep.
get the brother some run.
True.
Any other expectations for tomorrow? Do we think we see any like drastic adjustments from either team? Do we think Denver comes out with a different look against the Thunder to try to stop anything we saw today, or vice versa?
Denver will play more guys. I think you'll see
so-
more Peyton Watson.
And I think the Thunder will play a lot more small ball.
Oh, I'd like that.
That's
I'd
an
like to see
interesting
that.
thought. Well,
the
especially if
data point
Chet's out.
reason.
For data
Well,
point reasons
yeah,
in
for
the
data point
playoffs.
reasons.
I think you're spot on. Also, the Thunder had 31 bench points tonight, which is awesome, but it was very balanced scoring. I wouldn't be surprised if we get an Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins game. That's kind of something I'm keeping an eye on.
You can easily give them more minutes. Easily.
Because of opportunity or because they just play better?
All the above. I think Silva's onto something. You didn't play them a ton. I mean, honestly, it wasn't like the Thunder starters played a significant amount either in comparison to the Nuggets, but I think they'll get more playing time on the second night of a back-to-back and will allow for guys like Shai and Dub to get a little more rest.
If you play more small ball, it would make sense to see more of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
If injury report comes out tomorrow morning, most teams are not going to show all their cards this early. But let's say that Jokic is out. Are you with me that you probably just sit Shai too?
Oh,
And
I
get the data
say
point of Dub?
rerun the Portland lineup again.
I don't think you go that drastic, but I think seeing a full game with Dub minus Shai would be a super, super awesome data point. So he could also use some rest with his wrist.
True.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, just like sit SGA and then from the team account, just tweet out a bunch of MVP propaganda, and you're good to go.
Point guard Dylan Jones tomorrow. Who says no?
Boy.
Me.
All right, it should be fun. Looking forward to it. Quick turnaround. No rest for the weary, but excited to get back against the Nuggets. But I think
Do Dort and Westbrook fight tomorrow?
that's a good question. I'm gonna say yes.
Love the word hush puppies. It's a good word. Hush
I
puppies.
don't know if that was the right time for that sounder, but I also don't know that there's a wrong time for that sounder. Anywho, let's transition to everybody's favorite sponsored game show. It's time for some Prairie Trivia.
Let me get my whiteboard really quick.
Oh boy, don't even. I will say, while everyone is gathering their whiteboards, except for Taylor, because he'll never get his whiteboard.
It's a bit.
We went deep talking about Shai during the King of the Prairie, and we didn't talk about Prairie. Silva and I both sipping on some buzzer beater tonight. Delightful. This is my first buzzer beater ever, and it lives up to the hype. Super good. They have a lot of new beers out right now. They have a Tropical S's, which is a tropical Skittles flavored beer. They have some fun new stouts if you're into stouts and more of the darker beer varieties. I saw one at the store tonight when I went to pick this up that was Banana Montana, and it was a imperial stout with like banana bread flavor in it. It sounded
See, banana bread I can get behind. That's a good iteration
Yeah.
of banana.
unlike what did we talk about last Sunday? Banana runts.
Yeah, banana runs.
I'm allergic to bananas.
I'm sorry, what? Really?
Taylor sure isn't.
Yeah. I don't know what that means. Last time I ate a banana, I almost died.
That's
Yes,
a sounder
dude.
too.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
This is true. It was in a
Throat.
smoothie, right?
Yep. My throat
almost
started
lost
swelling
Jacob.
up and I couldn't breathe.
You need
Yikes.
plantain?
That's a good question. I don't know. I haven't had a plantain.
Don't try it.
Only one way to find out.
Don't. Bet pay off.
If
Eat a
you
plantain
see-
on the pod.
What do you call the grouping of bananas when they're all connected together?
A bunch?
Bunch?
It's just a bunch.
was
A
gonna
bunch
say
of
group.
bananas.
Justin. We lost Justin.
The noise and the speed at which that flipped up.
If you-
Whoops.
if you-
Elevator to me, ex-wife. My whiteboard knocked my computer off its little perch.
I think Nick went to the Sims kitchen. Oh, he's back.
By the way,
Um,
my laptop.
Anyways, if
perch
you see me with a
is-
bunch of bananas, get me some extra antidepressants.
what a way to go.
Yep.
Death by banana bunch.
Walking out of Walmart, 2 sacks.
Connor
full of
says
bananas.
it's called a hand of bananas. But Connor's
That
probably
sounds like a
trolling.
lie.
Buddy. Hey, that's a different. Never mind.
I think Connor just wanted to see if he could get you to say that on the pod.
Probably.
Almost worked.
Connor, will you make sure you're available Saturday night at 6 p.m. so you can stream the game in the Discord, please?
Anyway,
Don't crash out. All right, trivia
Jacob, do you
time.
have some trivia questions for us?
I don't, but Rob Baird from the Discord does.
As he always does.
I also have one sent in to me on Twitter.
Congratulations. Question 1. You can ask it at the end, Taylor.
Thank you.
Question 1. The Thunder have beaten opponents by double digits 41 times this season.
Sheesh.
What is the record for the most in a single season, and who holds that record? So Thunder are at 41 times beating teams by double digits. For the entire season, how many games, like what's the record for wins by double digits, and who holds that record?
Do we need to give you like a year or just the team?
You can put a year if you want. You're not going to get it right, but
Bonus points.
Nick's got 41 with the Celtics. Taylor's got 48 with the Warriors. Taylor, are you all right, brother?
Yeah. Oh, shaking.
Is it Michael J. Fox?
Oh no.
Justin's got 56 with the Celtics, and Silva's got 49 with the Dubs. The answer is 50. 71-72 Lakers.
Wow. That's crazy.
Only Justin was alive back then.
Is
Listen,
that the same team that holds the record for margin of victory?
I don't know.
You're asking the wrong crowd, buddy.
Only one of us would
Trivia
know.
question.
I thought that was the Bulls.
No, I think it's that Lakers team that won like 30-something straight. Is that the same team? Because the Thunder's about to break that record as well.
Maybe.
Trivia question number 2. You guys got the chat closed, right?
Yes.
Okay. Trivia question number 2. What is SGA's three-point percentage on his 5.2 attempts per game since January 1?
I need you to repeat the question.
All right.
I was told there'd be no math.
What is SGA's three-point percentage since January 1st? That's 5.2 attempts a game.
Got it.
Nick's got 51.
51. I went 41.
Silva's got 43. Taylor's still shaking like a leaf at 41. And Justin's at 41.3.
0.3. Price has righted me.
The correct answer is 41.3.
What?
I thought you knew
Did you
that.
not know it?
So no, not a cheater. I did see someone tweeting out a stat about how good Shai has been lately, and that number just felt right. And it
What was his percentage tonight, Justin?
I have no idea.
2
Not
of
very
11.
good.
Do the math.
20 something.
No, 20 would be
No.
nice. It was more like 13, 14.
I think
2 of
18.
2 of 11. That's anyway.
Was it 2? I thought it was 1. Oh, that last 3 he made.
2 of
He made the
11.
last 3. You're right.
Trivia question number 3. In honoring Jay Will's triple-double from Friday, shout out Jay Will. Justin did a wonderful job on Friday's post-game. I would like to say that Friday game, probably top 5 game of the year for me.
It was a blast.
It was fun.
It's a fun basketball game. In honoring Jay Will's triple-double from Friday, how many players in the league have recorded at least one triple-double this season? Follow-up, how many of those players have had multiple? So how many players this season have had one triple-double? And then how many players this season have had multiple triple-doubles?
This is one of those questions where I don't even know if I have a good reference point.
Agreed.
Speaking of triple-doubles, I think he got one the other night. You know who's playing really well right now?
Josh Giddey.
Joshua Giddey. Good for him.
He's going to get a lot of
But-
money probably in the offseason.
What'd you say?
Probably going to get a lot of money in the offseason because of this month of
Yep.
play, I think.
He's played really well. All right, let's see the numbers. Nick's going 31 different players. 14 have had more than one. Taylor went 12-5. Justin 37-5. Silva 16-5. The
We're all over the
answer:
place.
36
No.
have had at least one triple-double. 15 have had multiple.
Wow.
Wow.
What happened to the league I love?
No
Bunch of-
Hot
defense.
take. I don't think Giddey gets as big of a deal as you think. So I think the Chicago front office, as incompetent as they may be, realize that he only puts up these numbers when he's a top 2 option, and he will not be a top 2 option on a championship team.
I think you're right.
Counterpoint: the Bulls will not be a championship team anytime soon.
It's fair.
Touche.
It's fair.
All right, Taylor, would you like to ask your trivia question?
I do. Shout out Blake White, who sent this in to me. Obviously, we talk about the West versus the East and how much deeper the West is. They have a higher win percentage against the East than vice versa. So over the past 20 years, the past 20 seasons, he didn't put this in question form, so I have to do it on the fly here.
A trivia question that's not a question.
Off to a good start.
That's just a fact, brother.
He sent it in. It's like, hey, this is a good trivia question. How many of the past within the past 20 seasons, has the East had a better win percentage against the West than vice versa?
Out of the last 20?
Out of the last 20.
Thunder, by the way, 21-1 against the East. So
Silva says 6. Justin says 2. Jacob says 5. And Nick says 4. It is 3.
wow.
Damn.
We're like the Leastern Conference. That was a good
It
one.
doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon.
Not unless Cooper Flagg ends up on the Wizards.
Literally every top generational pick just loves going west.
Go West, young man.
Manifest destiny.
So good. All right. That wraps up Prairie Trivia. One more segment before we get out of here. We have to make some predictions. We've been very win heavy on our predictions lately. Not sure why. But we have 4 more games on the docket this week, including the first one tomorrow night. The rematch against the Nuggets. Silva, what happens?
A Thunder W.
Jacob.
W Moneyball.
Now watch this drive.
That was the perfect W Moneyball sounder.
Silva's been waiting for that all podcast.
So good. Taylor, what happens?
I'm going W as well, but keeping my money ball.
Nick.
Loss.
Wow. I will also go win because I'm not an idiot. Next game, Wednesday at Boston. Should be another game full of fireworks. Oklahoma City and Boston usually does not disappoint. And we should be in for a good matchup. Nick, what happens in Boston?
Win Moneyball.
Oh my God.
Now watch this drive.
Nick's a psychopath. Taylor, what happens?
Win. No money.
Jacob, what happens in Boston?
Should call it Wednesday because they're going to win.
Last week, I said Wednesday, and someone in the chat corrected me and wanted me to say Wednesday, that's just never going to happen. Silva, what happens in Boston?
A loss.
Gross. I am also going with a win in Boston because I'm not an idiot. Next game, Saturday at Detroit. Detroit's been playing fun basketball. Might see him in the finals.
Oh, shit.
I thought that was a sounder.
I did too. I did too.
I think it needs to be one.
That's funny.
Oh my gosh. Silva, what happens in Detroit in the Little Caesars Arena? My favorite arena
Now watch
name.
this drive.
That's what happens.
I like it. Jacob, what happens in Detroit?
A win. Also, I forgot that it was the Little Caesars. Is it the Little Caesars Arena or the Little Caesars Dome?
Little Caesars Arena.
All right. And we are doing a Discord watch party Saturday. So if you're not part of the Patreon yet, you should join. We're all going to be in Discord streaming the game. It'll be live, so you just watch it on Discord. You can hang out and talk with all of us. There's typically a lot of people in there. It's a really fun time. And I think we should make it a requirement that everybody orders and eats Little Caesars
Wow.
Saturday
Down.
night for the game.
Have y'all had Crazy Puffs?
They're insane.
No.
Justin.
They're
What
so
are they?
good.
Might as well ask if I've had diarrhea. The answer to both those questions is yes.
I would never ask you that.
Wait.
Crazy
And
Puffs.
they're related.
They're insane, dude.
They're like they're like muffin sized, but it's just like a little like pizza cup. It's phenomenal.
Let's say this. If you, between the time that this is live at 10:07 p.m. on Sunday, March 9th, between now and that live watch party, if you subscribe to the Patreon, we're going to put your name in a hat, and one winner will get Little Caesars. Yes,
Yeah.
we're balling with big money here. We're gonna pay for your Little Caesars for that game.
$5 American coming your way.
I remember when we
know
first
what's
started out.
Single hot and ready. You got to go pick that thing up yourself, though.
Hey,
Basically,
some-
investment in the pod.
some Little
will get paid
Caesars
off.
deliver now. They just DoorDash it.
I bet you
Yeah.
can DoorDash it. Do you guys
Yeah.
remember way back at the very beginning of the podcast when we had the pizza sounder and we'd buy
Yes.
people pizza for listening to the podcast?
Yes.
Pizza.
Does everyone here
You
respect?
kind of look like the mascot, Taylor.
P-I-C-C-A.
Does everyone here
Little
like or at
Caesars?
least respect Little Caesars?
Do you respect it?
Do you like it or at least respect it?
Yes. If I did not give a crap about my health or figure, I would eat that every day.
Just at me though, Nick.
I'm gonna be real honest. I haven't had Little Caesars since high school.
Oh,
I
it's
haven't
so
had it in a long
good.
time, but in high school
so
we
good.
lived.
Get you
on
some
Little
crazy
Caesars.
puffs,
Oh
Taylor.
my!
I'm in.
Change your life.
That'll change your life. Who
Saturday.
hasn't made a
Also-
prediction on this game? Is it still Jacob's turn?
We're not sponsored by Little Caesars.
Yeah.
We're now
Yes.
never going to be sponsored by Little Caesars.
Oh.
I think you have to like actively smoke meth to work there.
Well, thanks
Have you
for
ever-
ruining our sponsorship.
Have you ever seen the way they cut a pizza?
No.
Only
Sometimes
a
it's
meth
not
head
even
can do it
cut.
that way.
They use a giant straight cutter and somehow none of the lines are straight.
Yeah, you'll get a slice that's like this big, and then you'll get a slice that's like half the pizza. Sometimes the slices are like curved.
What's your prediction, brother?
Sometimes
I
with
said
a
a win.
finger on top.
Did
What
you?
on top?
Finger on top. Cutting off their fingers.
Gross.
Okay.
Taylor, what happens in Detroit?
I also have a W, and I still have not used my money ball, so let's use it, Silva.
Now watch this drive.
Nick, what happens in Detroit?
It's going to be a close game, a very close game, but Jaylen Williams, game
The
winner, will get
closest
them
of
over
games.
the hunch for the W.
Love it. I am also going with a win. Last but not least, next Sunday at Milwaukee, the Bucks. Nick,
It always sounds like you're burping when you say that.
who says he's not?
I'm going to take the loss on that one.
Taylor,
I'm also going with loss.
Jacob,
When
Silva.
Loss.
I think Sunday night is a late tip as well. Is that right? 8
It
p.m.
is.
8 o'clock.
So that means we will be live next Sunday at like 10:30.
Yay.
Anyway, I'm going with a win money ball in Milwaukee.
Now watch this drive.
Getting some of that sweet Vegas revenge.
Was the
That's awesome.
drive even good by George W?
Don't know. The camera cut out. It didn't
That's
show that.
expert camera work.
I'm so glad I got that as a sounder.
Might be a new fave.
We should get a
Gentlemen.
sounder from every president.
That might be hard for some.
Oh, let me be clear.
Sense audio.
And easy for others.
Okay. Since audio. I like that.
JFK's could just be a gunshot.
No, sir. All right, we're wrapping the show up before Jacob gets us canceled.
I did not have. Never mind.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate all of you in the chat, as always. Thanks for tuning in. Back at it again soon. Rematch against the Nuggets, a fun game against Boston on Wednesday. Lots of good stuff to break down for this Thunder series. Oh, I can't talk. The chat, out of pocket. We appreciate you so much. Until next time, and as always, Thunder up.